Hi everyone, and welcome to Healthy Meals on a Budget. My name is Laura Sheffield, and I'm a Health and Nutrition Director for Community Action Council. And today's Healthy Meal on a Budget recipe is the Southwestern taco skillet. So for our taco skillet, we need a pound of ground turkey, a can of black beans. We're going to use half of the onion, a can of corn. Do not drain the corn. We'll use half of a can of diced tomatoes. We'll use some black pepper, some chili powder, some cumin, and some salt, some minute brown rice, some cheese, and some vegetable broth. All right, let's get started. So first we're gonna ground our turkey and cook it on about medium heat. So let's turn our skillet on here. Open up our turkey. And we're gonna let that start cooking. So as that starts cooking, we're gonna go ahead and cut up our onion. So to cut up an onion, you're gonna cut it in half this way. And we only want a little bit of the onion, so we're gonna use a smaller portion. And then you wanna peel off a couple of layers till you get to the good part of the onion. You can cut off part of the onion to help get that started. And we're gonna dice this onion. And one thing that's good about this recipe is that it has different colors of different vegetables. Onion's considered a white vegetable. And then we have our corn as a yellow-orange vegetable and our tomatoes as our red. And each color has different benefits. So to dice our onion, we're gonna slice it in thin slices this way. Make sure you cut it in half going this way. And then we're gonna go across to make our small dices. You can dice as large or as small as you like. I prefer smaller dices, but it's more of a personal preference. And if you dice them and you want them even smaller, you can take your knife, hold down the tip of the knife, and just go across to make your dices smaller. Make sure you hold the tip of that knife so the knife doesn't slip out from underneath your fingers. All right, so now we're gonna add our onions to our turkey here, and they're gonna cook together. So we wanna break up the turkey. Cook it just like you were cooking ground beef. Turkey has some benefits to it that beef doesn't. It's leaner, so it doesn't have as much fat in it. And also right now, it's cheaper than beef. It's about $3 a pound when beef is about $5 a pound. All right, so we're gonna let this cook a little bit more. So you'll know your ground turkey is done when it gets to be a brownish gray color. And then your onions are going to be translucent, which means you can kind of see through them. They're a little clear, see-through. So once your turkey is finished, you're going to transfer it to a bowl and set it aside. And then we're gonna wipe out our skillet before we move on to doing the next part. So you want to drain the fat from it, so you can either transfer it like I just did with the spatula, or you can use a colander. Get all this fat cleaned out, and then we're gonna pour our corn and diced tomatoes and rice mixture and get that cooking. It's all going to be mixed together at the end, so there's no need to clean your skillet with soap and water in between. Okay, so now we're going to do our can of corn. Do not drain your corn because the rice is going to cook off of the liquid from the corn. And then we're going to add half of these diced tomatoes. This is 1 can and the recipe calls for a half can. Make sure you get all those good juices in there for that rice to cook. Okay, so now we're going to add our rice. We need a cup of rice. And then our broth, we need a half a cup. So this is a good time to point out when you're measuring liquid, make sure you have a liquid measuring cup, and then when you're measuring solids that you have a solid measuring cup. The measurements are different, so to follow the recipe, make sure you're using the right measuring tool. So we got a half a cup here of the vegetable broth. And then we're going to add our chili powder and cumin and salt and pepper to it. So we need 2 teaspoons of chili powder. So there's 1 and 2. And then we need a teaspoon of the cumin. And then we need a half teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper. All right, so now we're going to heat up our skillet. We're going to bring this mixture to a boil. And once it starts boiling, we're going to lower the heat and let it simmer for about 15 minutes with it covered with the lid. So bring it to a boil, stir it up nice, good while it's going to a boil. Once it's boiling, cover it with the lid and time it for about 10 to 15 minutes until the rice is tender. So about halfway through the cooking, you're going to check on your rice. And this one looks good. It has enough liquid in it, but if you think you need to add a little bit more liquid, go ahead and add another half cup of broth to make it 1 full cup. And then continue to let it boil until the rice is tender. Okay, so now checking our rice. Our rice is not yet tender and about all of the juice is soaked up, so I'm going to add another half cup of the broth. And that way the rice can get more tender and it won't burn to the bottom of the skillet. Now that our rice mixture is done, we're going to go ahead and add our turkey and onion mixture and our black bean. Can of black beans to it, and we're going to warm it up. So once the turkey and the black beans are warm, we are going to remove it from the heat and add our cup of cheese. So beans are good protein as well. They're full of fiber, which is good for your GI system. The biggest benefit of fiber is that it takes all that bad cholesterol, that LDL cholesterol, out of your body. Fiber doesn't get digested, it just moves through your digestive system, picking up all the bad things along with it. And not only are beans considered a protein, they're also considered a vegetable. So you're getting 2 for 1. All right, looks like it's nice and warm, so we're going to turn off our skillet and we're going to add our cup of cheese and we're going to let our cheese melt on there. Stir that in. And then we're going to take a tortilla And you can warm them up in the microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds, or you can heat them up in a skillet to get them warm if you prefer your tortillas warm. And this is a bigger tortilla than a taco, so you can use the bigger ones or the smaller ones, but I'm going to put a little bit more in it since the tortilla is a little bit bigger. So then you'll just continue filling up your tortillas until you've used all the mixture. Or if you don't plan on using all the mixture, you can go ahead and put the leftovers up into your fridge for storage for the next day for lunch or another dinner. So hope you enjoy your Southwestern taco skillet.